we don't have time to beat around the bush because actually there's so much to talk about. Right, let's... Sorry. Michael.exe is start. Okay, I will sippeth the lemon. Mm-hmm. Now that I have imbibed the sacred juice, let's talk about the patch. So, it's called Embers of Neltharion, which is essentially something we knew from data mining in 10.07.
Unfortunate.
But with this, we've got an updated roadmap. The PTR is out, which itself, I think, is a pretty damn significant thing. And we've got our Prelude cinematic. So, first up, new roadmap. Of course, March 21st then being the release date of 10.07, which is in 11 days. Kind of crazy. You should also remember that February is a shorter month. So in just under 2 months, they've got us another patch in 10.07. Now, 10.07, I think, definitely a larger patch in terms of meat than 10.05.
Of course, yeah.
Good to see. So we've got...
a whole zone in there, like, more or less. Obviously, the zone already existed, but at the same time, it is still a new zone.
Yeah, and when you go to the Scara vaults, like, those actually have gameplay, right? They have all the puzzles, all the... all the stuff.
That's a good point, actually, because the Scare Vaults aren't even in people's hands yet. And they're ready. They're like, yeah, here's 10.1, which is a whole new zone. So I feel like once 10.7 or 10.0.7 is out and people are playing, they'll go, wait, there's another patch coming? It's interesting where I feel like they may have kind of taken some of the wind out of the sails of 10.0.7 by going, oh, the next new thing's coming faster. But it'll feel like good for players going, oh, I'm playing this and I know I've got more soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It is just straight up constant content. I suppose as well, 10.07 is setting up a form of catch-up gear that perhaps will continue to persist. Maybe it'll be the case that the content of 10.07 actually does get pulled into Season 2. Like maybe it gets a minor item level bump or... it gets factored into the new loot upgrade system as an example. Hard to say exactly.
They said anything before 10.01 won't be in. So
10.07 purely is just, hey, here's a zone for 2 months.
So actually a little bit of flavor on that. And that is more, it is basically that, here's a zone for 2 months. But I think I think it was Morgan Day talked about it in an interview. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Taliesin. Was talking about how this is the first time they've been able to do what's basically I guess a forward patch or prequel patch to a big patch, where 10.07 isn't wrapping up 10.0. It's actually leading the way for 10.1. So they get to like narratively lampshade things.
Yeah.
They get to prep you a little bit and go, okay, here's what's sort of changed in the past couple months. Here's what to look forward to. And then they're like, oh, they're still experimenting with what they're doing. But he did say that's the intent. This is a patch to lead into 10.1, which is literally just here's a patch to keep you busy for it.
Yeah,
sweet.
So it means for people like us, we can see the vault, we can do the content bit, do the campaign, whatever. That's good. We don't really need the gear, but I guess for a lot of other people, this is giving you the third and final power level of the primal gear. It's getting you enough stuff to get your alts ready. So it's. Yeah, if you almost see it as being the pre-patch to the big new patch, if somebody maybe feels like, oh, I guess in the past, right, if it was just a month or two before a new patch, people's like, fuck it, wait for the patch, use the catch-up gear then. Whereas here, there's a reason to go and pick up the game now. I guess that's kind of the difference. So, obviously, there's all that with this coming patch. Then, for Season 2... we got our zone, we got our raid, we've got our assaults, which I think basically are just the elemental assaults again, but they're themed after the Fryak, the red, the fire incarnate. Yeah,
Fryak. They're actually, they've implied that they're a little bit more than that.
Okay, good.
Not in a huge way, but they've definitely implied, like, because they compared it to, you remember Deathwing's bombing runs in Cataclysm? Yeah. Where he would just show up and kill you. Apparently, Pharax is going to have that feel, so he himself will show up and do some damage. Which will make it feel notably different to just, the storms are there. I think, at least. Hopefully.
That's cool. And certainly whenever it's okay for us to talk about raid spoilers, there's some things I want to talk about there. We've got the Niffin, Renown, and Rewards. It does seem to be the Niffin who's like the actual like little mole people, but also the Drogbar. They all seem to be friends. It was described to us in the presentation as being the like friendly folks who are down there in the big cavern. But anyway, it's another Renown bar. We all know what those entail. fair enough, I guess. I know for a lot, like, there is still a bit of that Shadowlands PTSD happening. Like, oh, Renown, huh? I actually, so far, quite like Renown. I'm happy with how it's worked. Because really, do you know what the bit that sold it for me was? Normally, it would just be you do whatever amount of questing, and then it's just, grind rares or grind whatever for a rep. I think, and this is a framing and UX thing, by the way, but I think like the framing of them, it increases the value of seeing the side quests. Because the side quests are going to feel good because you can do a few side quests, and rather than go from a little bit through Revered to slightly more through Revered, you may get a level or two of Renown and get access to some new things.
Yeah.
I think that kind of all lines up quite well. So we got that new PvP season, which doesn't have the new gear. They basically said, listen, people seem happy with PvP gear. We don't want to fuck with that shit again.
Yeah.
Another thing in PvP, actually, is they're doing quite a lot of balancing to interrupts, I saw.
Let's
definitely talk about that.
Effectively, for a taster, PvP is going to have crowd control substantially reduced, which includes interrupt durations way down, including in PvE. Although they've said it shouldn't impact in PvE because how spell cooldowns work anyway. But yeah, PvP is seeing some not massive. I guess there probably are actually at the end going to be massive changes in terms of how it feels to play. Although the gear system, which they like, will stay. Which you're like,
yeah.
Oh, you're actually like, well, for a start, you're addressing PvP balance at all. So
that's crazy.
Nice. I got you threw together a team. I think I must have got his hires. Fantastic. And then everything else is just, we're going to actually try. Like, as whenever a tweet I saw in reply to the post of the gear system is, who are these guys and what have they done with Blizzard? That's what it very much feels like.
Yeah. God, yeah, you'd love to know what. Because I know some of what changed, but God, you'd really love to hear more. Right, the new Drake that's a bit more inspired by the serpents. Basically, it's a big long boy. I really like that new Drake, so that's pretty sweet. New UI stuff. Then, what about the rest, though? Well, summer 10.1.5 Mega Dungeon World Events content and system updates. 10.1.7 being story and quests, holiday refresh, content and system updates. So, I would say we can expect a Mega Dungeon. In and around that Mega Dungeon, there will probably be some minor narrative stuff because it does seem that they want to carry those forward. World events, okay, we will have to see. But what does content and systems update? What does that mean? Well, when talking about archaeology, Ian said, like, he didn't say literally, oh yeah, we're going to do that in this patch, but he did seem to very much imply it's on the cards. I wouldn't be surprised then if it was in a 10.1.5 or a 10.1.7. Also, time walking. He pretty much straight up said some time walking stuff could happen. We're due a new time walking raid. And, I mean, then we both just go Throne of Thunder. So,
indeed.
Between those patches, I would maybe expect things like that. So there's that. I don't think there's anything else really new for the season 3. Like, that is exactly what you would expect.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be... We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here.
Yeah, but overall, though, look, this is some pretty good stuff. They're actually sticking to their roadmap, and I know it's early days. We've only seen one of these be live. But this being in March, and then season 2 likely being late May, mid-June.
Because they have to...
avoiding Diablo.
They've said they will, yeah.
Yeah, that actually... That gives them enough time to get season 3, assuming a simultaneous mythic, like in December of this year. Because, you'll note here, like, it says fall, not winter. Right? So, pretty good.